So, what got you started drumming?
My grandparents.
Oh, right on.
From an early age, I remember playing on pots and pans with at my grandma's house. My grandfather played clarinet and was into jazz, so he got me into jazz at an early age. My cousin played drums in high school. He was 8 years older than I was. So he was in high school when I was a youngster, and I saw him play, and it kind of I was doing that, so I wanted to start doing that. So I started playing on his stuff. In middle school, my grandfather said you need to play clarinet because you need to learn music. I want you to learn music. So I played clarinet and then saxophone in sixth and seventh grade in middle school, and didn't like it. So the band teacher said, "Okay, well, we'll put you back on drums." So really, it was my grandfather got me into it, and then my band teacher actually kind of helped, Mr. Dagnan. He kind of helped push me into it more. So by the time I got into high school and it was more of a professional drum situation where we had a drum instructor and all that kind of crap, it was more, that's where it really, oh, look at what all the things I can do, not just playing along with Eagles and AC/DC. So, yeah, yeah. Definitely my grandparents were my main focus and my main influence as far as what got me started into it.
Oh, right on, right on. And kind of, who was your biggest, aside from your grandparents, like musically, who was your biggest influence?
Oh, at an early age, a lot of the jazz drummers that my grandfather had me listen to were actually a lot of influence in what I was doing, what I would later do. But when I was first getting into it, man, I was listening to a lot of AC/DC. So I was playing along with a lot of Phil Rudd. Because man, it was grooving, and he was in the pocket, and that was the kind of shit I was into. Also, I was listening to a lot of Jimi Hendrix, and Mitch Mitchell, he was a jazz drummer who went and played with a rock guitarist, and so that was kind of like, well, if he do it, I can do it too, and so definitely Mitch Mitchell and Phil Rudd were my two biggest beginning influences within my musical. This is all in middle school, within eighth grade or seventh grade of middle school. This is what I was really focusing it on. That later changed as my taste grew and I learned more. But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, who are your influences now? Like, what drummers do you vibe with now?
There are a lot of different dudes out there. And that's really cool because a lot of cats have come from that old school ways. And I mean, all the stuff that has happened since listening to the stuff that my grandfather was listening to from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and even into the 60s, compared to what the drumming has turned into now. It is evolved into a whole nother thing. And so there's a lot of guys out there that have taken drums and percussion and drumming in particular, because drums, percussion, two different things. Percussion plays percussion instruments, drum set plays drum set. So drum player, a lot of these guys come up with these incredible things. So it's hard to really say who is a big influence on me. My main influence now from high school and for ever, he'll always be my favorite and will always be my inspiration, is Vinnie Colaiuta. And
Really?
Vinnie Colaiuta played for Frank Zappa in the early 1980s and late, well, 79. He played on Joe's Garage. Vinnie is a monster player. And he was able to adapt to any situation. This is what I looked at the most because this is who I am, I've become. I've been able to play with different groups, different styles, because I've taken time to learn the different styles. Same with Vinny. Vinny was a jazz drummer. He went to school. I went to school. He dropped out of school. I dropped out of school, college. And he moved to LA. I didn't move to LA, from Boston. But he just knew that in order to make a living, he had to be able to play with all this different stuff. Yeah, he played with Frank Zappa to begin with, but then he's played with tons of country artists and tons of jazz. I mean, Herbie Hancock. He plays with Herbie Hancock all the time. I mean, this guy is incredible, and so he is by far one of my biggest influences. Now, that's a loaded question too, because that opens the whole can of worms, man. You know what I mean? Like, well, where can I go from there? I take different parts from Vinny. Obviously being able to play all this stuff, and there's stickings and stuff that he does that I'm like, oh, that's fucking smooth, and I want to do that, right? So I take time to learn that kind of stuff and just understand a little bit. I'm not going to sound like Vinny, but I want to understand what Vinny is doing. And that opens up for other cats like Tony Williams, who was, Miles Davis's drummer from when he was like 16 years old. He played drums with Miles Davis. And he evolved from this jazz drummer to this fusion guy to where he was trying to play rock and roll in a jazz setting. But he was doing all these incredible stickings and all this like rudimental crap on the drums that no one else was doing. And Vinny heard that stuff. Well, not just Vinny, Steve Smith from Journey. There's a couple other guys from Berkeley I can't think of right now. But all these guys noticed what he was doing and took hold of that. And so from there is a whole base of drummers that took that philosophy and ran with it. And that is kind of where I go. But there's also a whole nother realm. There's a guy named Gavin Harrison. Gavin's from the UK. He plays with King Crimson right now. Is who he's playing with. But he also plays with Porcupine Tree. He's a super fusion, like, I wouldn't even say fusion, prog drummer, right? But this guy is badass, right? He didn't have he had formal lessons, but he didn't go to school. He didn't go do drumline like I did or did anything like that. He just went to a teacher and he learned all the same shit I learned, but then expanded upon that, And it's so watching all these guys, I've been able to take in and understand what's happening by interviews, by reading what they're doing, by listening to the music that they play, and then getting an understanding of how they play it and the depth behind it, and getting a nuance of what they're doing. That way I can take that and adapt that to what I'm doing. Rather than just, I'm going to sit there with music and write out what they're doing note for note. I mean, I don't care, I like listening to what they're doing, but I don't want to do exactly what they're doing. I want to be able to play same kind of stuff as they play, but not exactly the same thing as what they're playing, because what they play is what they play. That's their art. That's not my art. I just like what they do, So, yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I dig that for sure. What do you like most about playing the drums?
It's so ingrained in me, music and drumming, that I can't imagine not doing that. The drums, I just like being able to, I'm such a math geek, and I'm a physics nerd, and I am, I'm into quantum mechanics and all that stuff, I'm such a total nerd, but when it comes down to it, music and drumming particularly is kind of like that nerdy part of the music. Because you're breaking things down into smaller components, to subdivide, to learn how to play over the top of that, to understand the intricacies of rhythm and how it works, and how polymeters work and polyrhythms work and all this stuff. There's so much to do with drums. It's besides just playing a beat. You can play as musical as you want, or you can play as noisy as you want. You can do all this kind of stuff. It's not just this rock drummer stuff, you know. That's not what it always is, you know. There's musicality to drums, and it is that primal sense of beating on stuff that maybe pushes me or maybe pushes other people. But you know, like I was saying, like I like to also watch people dance. Now, when you're playing guitar, no offense to guitar players, but when you're playing guitar and it's just you playing guitar, it's really hard to get people to dance for you because there's nothing to. But I can get up there, I can take my drums anywhere and start playing my drums, and people are going to start dancing. And all I have to do is put a melodic thing in there on the toms and stuff, and people, whoa, fuck, wow, it's great, you know. And the dances, and I'm making music without having anything else, right? But you go there with a bass. And you just people are like, it sounds like fucking mud, dude. Like, no, it doesn't work. Whereas drums, it's the basis of everything. It is the root of all music, the root of all life. It's in our heart. Our heart beats the rhythm, and so it is a natural thing. And for me, I just accepted that fact. I accepted the fact that that is a natural thing, and I'm just going to let that in. And so, I mean, by whatever powers out there, whatever they are, energy or karma or whatever you want to quick and call it, bestowed on me this life and how I feel. I never really questioned it really so much. I just accepted it, you know. It's kind of, I mean, you could use it for different things, and then we won't get into that, but you know, it's just, you just accept the fact for what you are and you just take it. And that's how I've always been. That's how I can't remember a day where I didn't think of music besides science and wanting to play army as a kid. That's it, man. And music. So, I mean, yeah.
That's badass. I love that. How many bands have you played with in the course of your career?
Holy God. Let me think about this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, at least 30. I'm not even gonna count up that much, but at least 30. I mean, I'm willing to bet even more because I've recorded with different artists and they've used my recordings for whatever group they've done. I've recorded with a lot of different people. I mean, I've recorded with probably over 50 different artists at least right now. I wish I could say it was more, but you know, yeah, a lot of different people, man. A lot of different people I played with. So bands, I mean, yeah, I'd say about 30.
Right.
Groups, people, more than that, over that. So yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Right on. How often do you play shows?
Every week, about 4 times a week, except for this week. Thank God I have a fucking break. But last week I played 4 days straight. I mean, for the most part, I play every week. So at least 3 days a week. I have a show. I mean, I do a gig. I don't know if you call it a show. I go to this bar and I play with different groups and I get paid for that. You know, and it's a bar, but it's a music venue bar too. So, yeah.
That makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. I can dig it. What kind of challenges do you face as a musician right now?
Oh, Christ. Well, besides about the point about how people in society looks to artists and what they are, we're going through a really weird time. Because art is such an important part of all culture. Every bit of culture. Our lives have been shaped by the culture of art in the past. And it doesn't matter what kind of art it is, visual, audio, whatever it is. And through the matter of time, it has become to a point nowadays where art isn't looked on, and artists aren't looked upon as real people, right? They aren't the people that get up at 9 o'clock, or sorry, 6 o'clock in the morning, get ready, and they're gone by 8 o'clock to go to work by 9 o'clock. You know, these aren't the people that do this, you know. So because they are looked at like I'm looked at, and I will say this because this has been done to me, I mean, it very prejudiciously done to me, where I'm looked upon as like lesser than regular citizens. So that's just one thing. So you have to attend, you know, well, not attend, what's the word I'm thinking about? You have to deal with that. Second thing is, we have to deal with COVID. That's a major, major thing, right? Because a lot of people are worried about health. I'm worried about health. I am conscious because of my leukemia, because of my sicknesses and stuff like that. I have to be aware. I'm vaccinated because I don't want to get sick no matter what. If I die because of vaccine, I die. I'm going to die anyhow, you know. I'm doing something with my life. So if I die tomorrow, I've got something, you know. I don't feel bad. So I would rather just not go through the pain and suffering. So we have to deal with the whole COVID thing, right? I won't get into the whole political side of it. But we have to deal with that. So we have to deal with, where is it safe to play? Who's open to play at? You know, where can we go now to play? You know, so there's a lot of challenges happening right now. And when we live in a small town, as this town that we live in, there's only a few places to play. And as a musician, to make money, you gotta be playing all the time, right? And when there's only 3 places to play, well, how are you going to play there all the time? Well, the key is to do what I do, is just play with as many people as you possibly can. But the hard part about that is you're not the only motherfucker out there, right? So I try not to be an egotistical ass about things and try to let other people play. But that's also taken away from my income too, which sucks. But at the same time, I'm not a dick, you know, and other people want to play. And so there's one main venue right now that is where we're playing at, where I'm making my income from. And I'm super gracious for them, because I wouldn't have made it this far without having that there. But where else do I go? If I lose a gig there, I lose money there, and I can't pick it up somewhere else. I have to come up with another idea. So doing a recording studio, recording people for, you know, cheap, you know, to get them in here to kind of supplement that, you know, thinking outside the box, doing recording sessions for people, you know. I'll get a session in here, I'll set up down there, I'll record it, send it back to them, I get PayPal money, you know, boom, just like that. And that's been the way I've been able to, you know, all throughout COVID, you have to think outside the box, you know. Luckily, I was able to take a little bit of business, you know, in college, to understand you gotta make something happen so you can have something happen. And so you can't just sit there as a musician and play and smoke a bunch of weed and go, man, no one's listening to our music, we play so awesome. Your music might be awesome, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just sitting there. So you gotta be proactive. And so, yeah, the hardest thing right now is just getting gigs and making money at it. And in a small town where you know, you have to make yourself a commodity, which I have. I've been able to do that to a point where other bands stopped having to call me because I was so booked up, you know. And so it's just, it can be really difficult. It's like you can't anticipate to have a job because you might lose that gig the very next day. You know what I mean? So you just gotta hope and pray and work your way. And if it does, then you have to adjust for that. You can't go, oh, damn. So, I mean, the challenges are just being a businessman, just being a straight up fucking businessman and thinking it's not all about the music, it's about business, This is, like anyone else, this is my business. This is what I do for a living. How do I sell that? How do I sell myself? Do I sit there and jack off? Or do I sit there and do something about it? You do something about it. Make money, So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same in my industry.
Exactly.
What kind of musicians do you prefer to collaborate with?
Back in the day, I liked very inter. I don't want to say this correctly. I like people that were very, they were very organized with the music. They could read music, they understood music, they had an idea of music. They had, this is me being Mr. Snob jazz drummer, okay? Right? Then I started working with people like my friend Weasel. Weasel has no training per se. He didn't go to school. He took a few lessons here or there. He just started playing. He was a natural, right? And this guy comes up with some of the most amazing riffs, some of the most catchy things, and it's just and he isn't like a very intellectual person when it comes to the music side. He is, but he isn't he's not trained, he's not a technical trained person. So, but what he comes up with, because he isn't a genius. I mean, 186 IQ, the dude's a freaking genius, right? He comes up with this incredible stuff, and it's so simplistic. So it goes back and forth. I like people who want to play well, right? I want people who I play with, I want it to sound good. I don't want it to sound like we're a garage band. I've not to be a dick, but I've done that. I've been there. That was 30 years ago, right? I'm a professional now. Now I don't have time for that kind of shit. I need to be sounding like a professional, right? When I go up there, and I don't want my parts to sound sloppy. I want to be right on, right? And even though Weasel is very who cares? We're just gonna go Bukowski way and just who cares, and he's into surrealism, which is I'm into surrealism as well. But he's just blah, whatever happens, happens. But it still ends up being this weird entropy of musical chaos that comes together, that still comes and matches up to make it tight. And so, as for the people who I play with, it varies really, because each person stimulates a different thing for me now, Back then I was snobby. Now it's I have Kim and Jason, and they're great, and then I have, the Moo-Moos, and they're great, and then I have, the other groups I have, they're wonderful too, and it just, each one has a different thing, and I can take from that. As long as each one is being professional in what they're doing, and doing their best to sound the best and as professional as they can. Because sometimes we fuck up and it happens, we don't sound professional, but you just do it, and if we watch professionals do it, they do it all the fucking time. So it's it happens, whatever happens, whoever tickles my fancy at a certain point in time, whatever sounds good. If it grooves, cool. If it sounds intellectual, cool. If it sounds funny, cool. If it sounds rockin', cool, fine, I'll do it, So, yeah.
Fun. Yeah, I can dig that, for sure. And do you have a favorite performance of your career, like a show that you did that was just really?
No.
No,
I mean, I've had a lot of really good shows. I've had a lot of really fun shows. I've played a lot of different places. I've played for I've played in front of a lot of people before, But but the gigs were always different, you know. And as a musician, you know, you get done with the gig and you go, oh yeah, that was fun. Oh, how, you know, you have this adrenaline high, and you come back and you come down and you listen to it. You're like, oh shit, I could have done better here. Oh shit, I could have done better there. Oh, I could have done this. So there's no, yeah, you did well, you know, but you didn't. I don't ever feel like it's like the greatest, you know, like I gotta strive to be better, you know, I have to work to be better, so I need to go practice, gotta be better, gotta get it tighter, gotta get it better, because it's not, you know, so it's like all these gigs, they just turn into a blur after a while, you know, and I mean, I've had a lot of memorable gigs, that's for sure, but I haven't really had one that I can say that was my favorite. And when it comes to that too, it's also memories about friends and the people that were there and other musicians that were there at the time. What makes those memories and those times what they are, you know. Going on tour around the country with a funk band was fun. Going on around the country or going around the Southwest with a metal band, that was fun too, you know. Each one, they weren't great performances, especially in the metal band. They were not good performances, but it was fun, you know what I mean? It was a fun time. That particular Get tour, I never felt more of a sense of brothership. You know, this brotherhood of us working together and being a family and being a group and caring and just being friend and just being there with each other. And that's what brings, it's the experiences that happen from the music, not just the music itself. The music is fun, you know. The music is a product of what's going to happen. The byproduct is everything that happens after and prior and around that, you know. And the byproduct is what you, as I look at as that's the part that I like. The feelings, the fun that you have. Yeah, I want to get up there and I want to fucking kick ass on those drums and I want to play well for my band and everyone out there, you know, so they have a good time. Because ultimately, the reason why I am, and I don't know if you have this question, but the reason why I am who I am, the reason why I like being a musician is because I enjoy bringing joy to other people. If I can take away just a little bit of pain that they have in just a 5-minute song, just by sitting there listening to them because they're having a bad day because the girlfriend left them or something horrible happens, you know, and they hear a song that I play that's just goofy as fuck, and they go, okay, that was funny. That made them smile just for that minute. Just that happy feeling puts that amount of energy into the universe that we all can feel and we can all feed off of. And if I can do that all the time, when I'm playing for live, when I'm playing in front of people, and I'm watching all these people and they're excited because I'm playing, I'm bringing joy to people. And that joy is in turn bringing me joy. So it's like this symbiotic kind of relationship of music. I want to make people happy with the things I do. And if I'm not making them happy, then I need to do something different. But everything I've done so far has been made people happy. So I'm going to stick with that for now and until someone tells me different.
That's awesome. I love that. What would you say, what qualities make a great musician?
Attitude, number one. First thing, attitude. I mean, you could be the shittiest musician and have the best attitude, and you will become the best musician because your attitude is good. You listen, you take advice from people, you practice, right? This is what you do. If you have a shitty attitude where I don't need to listen to you, I know everything and my shit's better than yours and will always be, then that's not going to work. No one wants to hire you. No one wants to work with you. No one wants to do anything with you because you're not flexible, right? So it's like working in retail. And I fucking hate retail, but it's like working in retail. You gotta be friendly with people. You've got to be a professional, right? What was the question?
Oh, what makes a great musician?
Oh, sorry. Attitude for one. Yep. Number two, definitely the amount of practice. The amount of practice that someone is willing to put in, not just rehearsal time. Well, I just want to make that clear. Rehearsal for band. Practice is what you do at home. So when you're at rehearsal, it's a form of practice, but you're rehearsing with your practice. You're rehearsing your practice with the band, right? So someone that's willing to work really hard at practice and work really hard at rehearsal. These can kind of go along with the attitude thing, but again, and then thirdly is definitely musicality. I mean, you gotta be a musician 100%. Musician. It doesn't matter what kind of instrument you play. You've got to be a musician. Now, what does that mean? That means you've got to think about the overall situation of what's going on. You have to be aware. It's situational awareness in the musical realm, right? You have to be linked to the other members of your group. You have to understand what your part and your role of your part is. Now, if you're up there mouthing it, ingvaying it, and you're just winging it, and you're just whittly all the time, that's going to get old, man, right? No one wants to hear that. If it's just, if the whole band's just up there, and it's just a scramble of noise. Now, what you hear with really good bands is they have the ability to be very musical in their parts, right? You listen to Primus. Listen to Primus's stuff. Like, it's super, like, it's everything's fit. Everything fits in a perfect place. And you listen to, well, I'm trying to think of another band, Tool. Okay? Tool is another band that they rehearse and they really think about their parts and how each part interlocks with each other, right? Because they want that sound. They want to, and the same thing with my bands. You have to be aware of your role in the band. You have to be aware of where you are in the music, and you have to be aware of what the other musicians are doing musically. And you have to play musical. By playing musical, I probably haven't explained that. By playing musical, it means you're playing for the music. You're not playing widdly. You're playing for the music. You're being tasteful. If you're a guitar player, maybe you're playing a chord or two here, brong, brong, to help the overall feel of it, not to just put as much shit into it, and a lot of drummers will do that. A lot of drummers, and I used to have that tendency to overplay. I just got to play as much as I possibly can, and there's no need for it. I mean, you listen to Motown, listen to that stuff. Those cats from that Motown era, they didn't play anything but bop, bop, boom, bop, bop, boom, bop, bop, boom, bop, 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 boom, boom, bop, but the shit was so groovy, right? And then they sold millions and millions and millions of albums, more so than Elvis, more so than the Beatles, more so than the Rolling Stones, all combined. It's incredible. There's obviously they were doing something right? So I looked at that kind of stuff and I go, yeah, that's the kind of stuff. That's because they were being musical. They let the band do the thing, right? Sure, there are parts where a drummer can sit there and just, or, you've heard some prog metal where it's just like, and it's cool because it works, but it's all has a part. It's all perfectly arranged. And everyone takes the time to make their part their part and be musical about it and be professional about it. That's what it takes to make a good musician. You have to be willing to put in the time, the practice, just like anything else, any other profession. Cooking, mechanic, doctor, policeman, you practice. You practice, you practice, you get good, and then you do it. And it's the same thing. It's the people who don't realize that want the instant gratification. Those are the people I don't want to play with. Anyone else, cool. You want to be, you're serious enough about it to want to like learn and sound cool, great. If you don't, then don't involve me. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. What are your goals for the future?
Well, you know, being in a small town, again, you don't have a lot of opportunity to do stuff. I'm kind of stuck here. I mean, I'm not really stuck here. I can move just like anyone else whenever I want. But at the time, I'm here. And for the foreseeable future, I'm here. So my future is basically to do what I can to continue to do what I'm doing. This will not change unless I have to change to make things, better, or, unless a change has to happen. But hopefully, my dreams, my wishes, is that I will be able to get into, a bigger arena and be on a little bit higher scale than here. But, I'm not putting all in on that. So I have this, I have my studio, I have my music, I have my bands, I have my drums, I have what I have here. And I'll continue to do that until I can't do it anymore. Until I can't breathe or I can't play or anything, I will continue to do that. And I'm not going to let anyone tell me not to do it, to not do it. I'm not going to be deterred to, this is what I do. And so with that focus and that intent, I'm hoping that will be enough to help me push forward and, continue to make a living, even though it's meager. It's a meager amount, and I live off of very little. I wouldn't trade it in for the world, because this is the best thing in the world. I live the dream, regardless of how small or big. I'm not a rock star, but I play music all the time. I mean, how cool is that? Who gets to say that they get to do? I can do whatever I want. I can smoke as much pot as I want all day long, drink as much coffee as I want, and then go and rehearse, and I don't ever have any problems with it. And I go and rehearse, and I nail the parts, and I go and I nail, I can nail the gigs, like I can do whatever I want, and I still make money at it because I still work at it. I practice every day. I take piano lessons. I work on my mixes. I'm doing stuff every day when it comes to music to better myself and to make sure I can have a better future. And that's what you gotta do. You just gotta fucking make sure you can forge ahead and not be a pussy about it and just fucking do it. Not be mediocre about it either. Fucking if you're gonna do it, you gotta put your all into it. If you're really into it, you have to put your whole heart into it, your whole body, your whole mind. You have to put everything you are. That has to become who you are. Who am I? I am a drummer. I am a musician. People know me as a drummer. They don't know me as Robb the taxi cab driver, or Robb the cook, or Robb the construction worker, or Robb the painter. They know, or Robb the firefighter. They know Robb as Robb the drummer. Robb plays drum, and that's who I am. That's who I have become. that and trying to be a nice guy for the most part, except for, my social people. But, I try to get out there and I try to be a nice person and I play. And like I said, I want people to enjoy life and enjoy art and enjoy music. And if I can provide that entertainment and a way to get rid of crap out of their mind for 4 hours a night, that's rad, because by the time they're done, they're not going to remember all the crap that happened until the next day, and then they're going to be like, well, that was a rad night. Now I can get to what I need to get to. It's kind of a reset button. And that's really my main goal is just keeping up with that, keeping doing that, making people happy, making people, not making them happy. I want to have them be happy, and I don't want to make them do anything if they don't want to do anything. You know how times are. I just want to make sure that they have a good time when they come, and they're able to have a good time, and they have a spot to go to have a good time, to release whatever crap that we're going through, because we have COVID, we have political crapola, we have whatever else is going on in the world. Why do we need to focus on all that crap, right? Because that's just crap. It doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't make us happy. As a society, it doesn't make us happy. What makes us happy is when we go out with our friends, when we listen to music, when we dance and we party and we sing and we get along, we drink and we smoke weed together and we hang out and we laugh and we love each other, and then everything's fucking happy and cool because of music. There's no politics. There's no, that social construct isn't there. It's just what we are as human beings. It is the purest form of human beings by listening to music. And I'm going to continue doing that. And I'm going to continue to make music, and no one is going to stop me. So that's my future.